Good day! Welcome again to Zenshin Steps. Today, we're going to chat about some ideas on how money can work for you to expand your earnings even while you sleep. Imagine this. In addition to earning from a job or the work you do, your money can actually make more money for you. How? By investing it in something like a piggy bank that grows, called fixed income investments. It's like having a money helper sidekick working for you all the time. So, let's jump into it. Our aim is to be of service to you by sharing ideas that can help you experience the joy and the magic of growth toward financial well being. We're cheering you on as you keep moving forward along your journey. And it would really be a big help if you could like and subscribe to our channel. Have you ever wished your money could grow all by itself while you were sleeping or busy having fun? Well, there are ways. As a partner to working to earn money, you can also let your money do some of the work for you. Your next question may be, so how can we do this? Did you know there are different ways to make your money grow even more? I learned something interesting from Jim Rohn that gave me a new way of seeing things. He said, you can earn not just from what you do, but also from what you own. So this got me thinking about things I could own that could make money for me. Some people own businesses, houses, or real estate. But one thing I discovered along my journey is you can also make money by investing and therefore owning fixed income investments. It's like having a special money plant that earns while you own it. In this video, we'll be exploring some examples of fixed income investments one can own, which we've tried and invested in along our journey, like Treasury Bills, government bonds, corporate bonds, special bank accounts, and dividends from companies. We'll also share some lessons and mistakes we've made along the way, so you can avoid them in the future. It might sound a bit tricky at first, but don't worry. We'll do our best to explain these in a way that's easy to understand. Let's now dive in and learn together. Let's start by talking about something called a Treasury Bill or a T-bill. It's like when you let the government borrow your money for a short time, usually around a year or less. Imagine you let them borrow $100 today. After a year, they give you back $105, which is called the face value of the Treasury bill. That extra 5, which is the interest earned, is like a thank you gift for letting them use your money. The duration of the Treasury bill can differ, usually a year or less, such as around 3 months or 6 months. But keep in mind, there might be some taxes and fees that can make that extra you get a bit smaller. To see how taxes and fees can change what you get from a Treasury bill or a T-bill, we can look into this example. Imagine you put $1,000 into a T-bill for 1 year. After the year, you get back $1,060, which is the face value. Therefore, the extra 60 is your earnings. But wait, there are still taxes and fees to think about. If taxes take away 20% of your $60, that's $12 gone to taxes. Plus, there might be a small bank fee to your investment, like $3 or 0.3% of your $1,000 investment. After taking away the $12 for taxes and the $3 for fees, you end up with $45 as your final reward. It's important to remember that taxes and fees can make your final amount a bit smaller, so you're not surprised when you see what you get in the end. We now move on to take a look at what a Treasury bill or T-bill looks like. Below, you'll see a sample of this, and we'll be highlighting a few important details. Here's what you need to know. Transaction date. This is the day you start your investment. Maturity date. This is when you'll get your money back. Face value. This is the amount you'll receive at the end of the investment period. Principal. This is the amount you put in at the beginning. And yield to maturity. This shows how much your investment gained as a percentage. A gentle reminder as well that taxes and fees can take a little bit away from your earnings. So always check what might be deducted to avoid surprises when you get back your final amount. If you're thinking about trying out a T-bill investment, let me share a lesson I learned the hard way. When I first bought a T-bill, I thought it worked just like a savings account where you earn interest on your money. I got confused by the term face value because I thought it was the amount I invested and that I'd earn an extra interest on top of it. So when I got my money back, I was waiting for the extra interest to show up. But surprise! The face value was the only amount I received. When I asked the bank, they explained that's just how T-bills work. No extra interest at the end. I was really shocked because I was planning to use that extra interest to pay some bills. The big lesson I learned is that the face value is what you get back with no extra interest. Let's look at two types of T-bills. For T-bill A, you invest $95 and get back $100. For T-bill B, you invest $100 and get back $105. If you want to invest $100 and get back $105, make sure that the T-bill document says $105 as the face value, because that's the amount you receive. No more, no less. Next up, let's dive into the world of bonds. If a T-bill is like a short-term loan, then bonds are like lending your money for a longer time to the government bonds, or a company, corporate bonds. Instead of just for a few months, you let them use your money for more than a year or even several years. In return, they promise to give you your money back later. And while you're waiting, they give you a little thank you gift called interest. Imagine you invest $100 in the bond for 2 years, and the bond promises to pay 6% interest each year. That means you'll get $6 each year as a thank you. But here's something to consider. Bonds can also pay out this interest at different times, depending on how the bond is set up, such as once a year, twice a year, or even 4 times per year. For the example below, the bond pays out twice a year as the frequency of payment. So instead of getting $6 at the end of the year, you'll get $3 halfway through the year and another $3 at the end. Just remember, some of that money might be taken out for taxes and fees, so it's good to know about these deductions so you won't be surprised when you get your earnings. If you'd like to know what an actual bond could look like, sharing with you some examples below. Remember, a bond is like a deal where you lend your money and get it back later with some extra as a reward. First, we have government bonds. This means you're lending money to the government. In our example, you keep your money with them for 5 years, the duration of the investment called the tenor. During this time, your money is locked in, so you can't touch it. Each year, you earn about 5.9% to 6.1% interest. This is an indicative rate, which means the exact rate is set when the bond ordering period ends. But remember, taxes and fees still apply. Next, we have corporate bonds. Here, you're lending money to a company. In our example, the lock-in period is shorter, about 1.5 years. The company pays you interest of about 5.8% to 5.9% per year. Similar to government bonds, this indicative rate will be finalized when the bond ordering period closes. Now observe the term at the bottom of the corporate bond that says interest payments quarterly. This means you get your interest earnings every 3 months or 4 times a year. This will be at smaller amounts, which is the annual interest divided by 4. To share more about these investments, government bonds usually feel safer because the government promises to pay you back. Corporate bonds might be a bit riskier since it depends on how well the company is doing, but sometimes they pay more in interest. Important things to remember when investing in bonds: check how long your money will be locked in because you can't access it during this time. Know how much interest you'll earn, minus the taxes and fees. And find out how often you'll get paid, so you know when and how much interest earnings you'll receive. Now the next question may be, how will I compute for my bond earnings? For this, let's imagine you put $1,000 into a 2-year bond. The bond says it will give you 6% interest each year. That means you'd earn $60 in a year. But here's the catch. You're not going to keep all that money. First, there are taxes. For this example, we'll use 20% of what you earn. So, from that $60, about $12 goes to taxes. Then, there are fees. Think of these as service charges for the bank or fund manager who helps with your investment. In this example, the fee is 0.3% of the money you invested, which is about $3. So if you started with $60 in earnings, you lose $12 to taxes and $3 to fees. That leaves you with $45 as your net earnings. Always keep in mind that the number you see at first isn't always what you'll actually get. Taxes and fees make it smaller. So what really matters is your net earnings, the amount that actually ends up in your pocket. Let's reinforce an important point to remember with bonds. When you invest your money in a bond, you cannot just take it back whenever you want. It's locked away until when the deal ends, or what's called the maturity date. And this is when you get your money back. So here's the key part. Before you invest, ask yourself, will I need this money while it's locked away? If you think you'll need it soon for something like buying things you'd need, paying for school costs, or other important expenses, then don't lock it up or don't lock it up for too long. You won't be able to use it until the bond is done. This way, you'll have cash available when you need it. Here's another way your money can earn: through special types of bank accounts. Usually, when you put money in a regular savings account, the bank gives you a lower interest. But some banks have special accounts, which are bank-managed investment accounts or higher yield deposit accounts, where your money can grow faster. The catch? To use these, you'd often have to put in a bigger amount of money or keep your money in the bank for a longer time period without touching it. These special type of bank accounts provide interest earnings in the same way bonds do. For example, if you invest $100 for 1 year and the bank offers a 6% gross interest, this would mean that at the end of the year, you earn $6. But remember, that's before taxes and fees. So the actual amount you get will be a bit less. Think of it like planting a seed. If you leave it in the soil long enough, it grows into something bigger. But if you dig it up too soon, you don't get the full benefit. Next, let's look at some real-life examples of those special bank accounts we talked about. Different banks have different investment accounts, and each one has its own rules about how long your money needs to stay locked in. For example, Banco de Oro or BDO in the Philippines has something called an investment management account or IMA. With this, your money could be locked in for 3, 6, or 12 months, after which you will receive the interest earnings. Bank of the Philippine Islands or BPI has a portfolio managed account or PMA, where your money is usually locked for around 2 months, after which you will receive the interest earnings. BPI also offers a higher yield deposit account, sometimes called the Plan Ahead program. But here, the money is locked in for a much longer time, around 5 years, with an option to pay out the interest monthly instead of yearly. Each type of these investment accounts helps meet different types of objectives. If you need to get your money back sooner, or if you can wait and lock in your investment longer, like the 5-year higher yield deposit account. As you can see from these, banks have different investment products. You should always ask about the account details, as well as think about your own objectives and capacity before you decide. Like how long your money can be locked in and what kind of return you'll get. If you would like to know how these special bank accounts work, we can take the example in the table. Let's imagine you put $1,000 into a bank-managed investment account with a 1-year lock-in period. And let's say this investment will give you 6% interest each year, or $60 in a year. From this total amount, there are taxes that will be deducted. For this example, let's also use 20% of what you earn. So from that $60, around $12 will go to taxes. Next are the fees, which are like service charges for helping you with your investment. For this example, the fee is 0.3% of the money you invested, or $1,000 times 0.3%, which is $3. Beginning with the $60 in earnings, you deduct $12 for taxes and $3 to fees, leaving you with $45 as your net earnings. To avoid surprises, be aware that what you'll actually get is reduced by taxes and fees. Your net earnings is what's important, which is the money that goes into your bank account. Another option for where money can grow is through government programs. In some countries, the government sets up special savings or investment plans. These are designed to help people grow their money. And here's how it can work. You invest some money in the program, let's say $100. You keep it in the program for a set amount of time. In this example, you have to keep your money locked in for 5 years. Each year, the government pays you interest. For this example, it's 6% or $6 in a year. Stay tuned because I'll be sharing some special advantages of these government programs in the next part of this video. Here's an example of a government savings program in the Philippines called Pag-ibig MP2. The government started this program to help Filipino workers save money and also to provide access to housing. The MP2 program is voluntary. You don't have to join, but if you do, it's an opportunity to grow money above the rates of regular savings accounts. So why consider a government program like Pag-ibig MP2? Here are two big reasons. The first, no management fees. Unlike banks or private funds that charge fees, in MP2, you don't lose money to extra charges. Second, your capital is preserved. That means whatever money you put in stays intact, and you will receive your full capital or the money you invested at the end of the 5-year lock-in period. The only thing that changes is the extra you earn called dividends. These dividends are given each year at different rates, and they are a percentage of the money you invested. For example, in past years, the dividend rates ranged from around 4% to 8%. Now let's look at how the money grows through the Pag-ibig MP2 program. Suppose you put in 100,000. If you don't reinvest the dividends, that means you just take out the earnings each year, you'll still get your 100,000 back after 5 years, plus around 34,000 in total dividends. But if you reinvest the dividends, that means you let them stay in the account and also earn money, your 100,000 can grow even more, to about 40,000 in dividends. Depending on whether you need the money or not, Pag-ibig MP2 gives you a way to further grow your money. Inviting you to check out which government savings and investment programs are available in your country, as these may offer investment opportunities you can consider. Here's something really important. Fees matter, since fees can eat into your money. Imagine you invest your money and earn 5% each year. But if there's a 1% fee, that fee gets taken away from your earnings. So instead of keeping the full 5%, you only end up with 4%. On the other hand, if there are no fees, you get to keep the full 5%. Imagine you have a delicious cake that grows a bit bigger every year. Let's say it grows by 5% each year. But if there's a 1% fee, it's like someone taking a slice of your cake every year. So instead of enjoying the whole 5% extra cake, you only get to eat 4% more. On the other hand, if there are no fees, you get to enjoy the whole 5% extra cake. Therefore, having no fees lets one keep more of the earnings. You might think 1% sounds tiny, but when you enter retirement, even a small difference in percentages can make a big impact. Let's compare. With fees, you earn 4%. Without fees, you earn 5%. It might not seem like a big difference, but that extra 1% is actually a 25% increase in what you earn. Imagine this. If you have $100 to spend on food, and your friend has $125. Now, who can buy more ice cream? That's the power of having no or fewer fees. You get more for your investment. Moving on, what other type of investments can you own that can provide earnings? One way is through buying shares of a company. When you buy shares of a company, it's like you own a tiny piece of that company. If the company makes money and earns a profit, sometimes they choose to share a portion of it with the people who own their shares. This reward is called a dividend. For example, if you own 100 shares of a company and the company gives out a dividend of $3 per share, you'll receive $300 in total, or 100 shares times 3. The catch? Dividends aren't guaranteed. A company will only give them if they make enough profit and decide to share it. So what happens when a company gives dividends? Here's how it can look like. You'll get a notice or a message from them which will include the cash dividend or how much you get per share. For example, in this notice, it's 13.7 per share. The X date or the deadline. You need to own the stock before this date to qualify. The notice will also include the number of shares or how many shares you own. It will also contain the net amount or the total cash you'll get, which is the dividend per share times the number of shares. So if you own 10 shares and the dividend is 13.7 per share, you'll get about 137. Think of dividends like a company giving you a thank you gift for being one of its owners, but only when the business is going well. All right, let's wrap up everything with some key points about fixed income investments. First, there are ways where money can earn money. This is through the different types of fixed income investments, each with different ways to earn and different times you have to wait. But remember, once you put your money in, you usually can't touch it until the duration ends. Second, always know the details to avoid surprises. Know what will be removed from your earnings beforehand. If you don't, you might think you'll get more than you actually will. Third, fees and taxes matter. Even small charges can take away from what you actually get to keep. What really counts is your net earnings, which is what's left after all the deductions. Finally, be sure about the time period. If you'll need that money soon for something important, don't lock it up or don't lock it up for too long so you can have the cash when you need it. So that concludes our video. A big thank you for generously sharing your time today. We hope we were able to serve you along your journey. As always, we are cheering you on to experience the magic and the joy of growth.